Well, it's mayhem in Ireland over this Thanksgiving Day weekend, and people are looking to an MMA champion to save things. Can Conor McGregor help save Ireland? We'll find out coming up in a minute. Also, Donald Trump goes to a big football game in South Carolina, and the reception is amazing. We'll show that to you. And it's terrifying to be a teacher in New York on any given day. But if you're a Jewish teacher who attended a pro Israel rally, well, it's almost life threatening. Terrifying stuff that we'll show you. Coming up on this live show, it's Larry. Let's go. And when I say it's Larry, I mean I'm Larry. Hey, welcome to the show today. Thanks for joining us live. If you're joining us live, and if you're not, well, you should try to join us live. We're daily here, 11:30-ish, around there. Listen, if you just like and subscribe and then ask for notifications wherever you're watching us, like on Facebook or YouTube, then when we go live, you'll get a notification ahead of time, and then you can join us. All right? I'm glad we got that out of the way. All right, let's turn to Ireland. It was absolute mayhem there over the weekend. You saw this story unfold, right? There was a stabbing out in front of a school. 5 people got stabbed, including 3 children. And it was reported that it was a illegal immigrant, a migrant in Ireland. Things have been changing rapidly there in Ireland thanks to their left-wing government and the mass importation of migrants from other parts of Europe and Middle East. And of course, this comes with it a lot of cultural and, yes, racial tensions. So because the stabbing had this reaction in Dublin of riots from across the complete and total political plane, you saw a lot of Irish people who were fed up with the changing face of the Irish populace and the violence that came along with it. They were upset and angry, but you also saw a bunch of migrants and illegal immigrants who were looting as well. So the police commissioner, the police deputy, the head of police there, the Irish Garda, was asked about it, and his response was to blame a hooligan faction driven by far-right ideology. We'd play the audio, but he's off mic in this video, and he's speaking Irish, so it's hard to understand what he's saying anyway. I'm kidding. He's speaking English with an Irish accent, but that's tough enough to understand too. That said, Conor McGregor, the world champion, mixed martial artist, UFC champion, he'd had enough. He commented on that video and he said, innocent children ruthlessly stabbed by a mentally deranged non-national in Dublin today. And our chief of police had this to say on the riots in the aftermath. Not good enough, Drew. Drew, not good enough. There's grave danger among us in Ireland that should never be here in the first place. And there's been zero action done to support the public in any way, shape, or form with this frightening act. Not good enough. Make change or make way. Ireland for the victory. God bless those attacked today. We pray. That statement is being blamed for inciting people to riot. Can you believe this? In fact, Conor McGregor came onto X and posted later that evening or the next morning, despicable scenes last night in Dublin city center. People looting shops amidst the anger and rage Ireland has for the many failed policies of government. See, he keeps reiterating that the problem isn't necessarily this illegal immigration, and he certainly didn't make any racial argument. He did say non-Irish, but that could be anybody from any country who's non-Irish coming into the country and changing the cultural makeup, and the government not responding to the fact that things are changing in Ireland so rapidly. In fact, not only is the government not responding fast enough to these changes, they're encouraging these changes without any thought to what the actual repercussions might be. But all of his arguments, Conor McGregor's arguments, have to do with the government's failures, not about individuals, not about races, not about ethnicities, not about religions, about the government failure. Health service in shambles, abominable housing crisis, immigration wide open. Sound familiar? Climate hypocrisy rubbed in our face, danger on our streets at an all-time high. Can we point to any successes? We can lambaste these wasters looting and damaging our streets last night, and we will. But when it passes, the spotlight shines again firmly on the all failed policies of this Irish government. We're awaiting action. The families of those grieving are waiting. We will not forget. You will not brush this under the rug. We stand with those in mourning. Make change or make way for Aisling. He continues, actually, with multiple posts responding to people who said that he's in some way encouraging and inciting the riots. He says, I don't condone last night's riots. I don't condone any attacks on our first responders in the line of duty. I don't condone looting and the damaging of shops. Last night's scenes achieved nothing toward fixing the issues we face. I do understand frustrations, however, and I do understand a move must be made to ensure the change we need is ushered in. This is, by the way, after people are responding to him. Look at this portrait of him with the riots in the background. Paul Golding, who I believe is a member of the Britain First Party, says that Conor McGregor should call a freedom march in Dublin. Hundreds of thousands would turn up. The people of Ireland would be solidly behind him. You see, people are encouraging Conor McGregor to run for office and to actually lead in a positive way all of this energy and excitement and, yes, anger at the failed policies of the Irish government, the far left-wing Irish government. And frankly, what is the response of those in charge, the people in government? Well, they blame Conor McGregor. Here's one member of the government.
That Ireland's at war in relation to the government. He's saying stuff like, you reap what you sow. Are you concerned about comments like that from him? And can I just ask you for your reaction to?
Well, there's been many comments I've watched online of that type, which are absolutely disgraceful. And we have a parliamentary democracy. We value that. The Irish people do as well. And isolated voices like that, and voices that are that essentially are inciting hate and a degree of to some extent incitement, I think, is unacceptable.
Criticism of the government is incitement, they're saying now. Conor McGregor responded to this. He's engaging on this. And by the way, all of these statements are being made online and on social media. That's important. Remember that, because the government's trying to silence it. We're going to show you that in a minute. Conor McGregor says, blame anyone but themselves. Typical. Worthless you are, Michael. Worthless and spineless. I love that he tweets as if he's speaking in that Irish cadence, right? Worthless you are, Michael. Worthless and spineless. I apologize to my Irish friends. That's the best I can do. Ryan Casey called you all out last week, grieving the love of his life stolen by pawn scum, and nothing but waffle from you all since. Zero action, everything from our lax border with gravy train benefits to our pitiful mental health services to our country in flames. It's on your watch, and still no plan of action. What's your plan of action? What are we going to do to ensure this stops happening? How are we going to ensure this ceases to continue in our country? Ireland is fed up of you and your type. We're not stopping here until real change is implemented. We need safety, we need security, we need leadership. As of now, we have none of the three. Shame on you and your type. And what do? They go after the critics. They go after Conor McGregor. And the journalists in Ireland, typical left-wing, liberal, Marxist journalists, they continue labeling all of the anger in the streets as far-right extremism. Sound familiar? Sound familiar, America? Far-right extremists. And one of the protesters found a journalist who had written one of these articles blaming far-right extremists, and he confronted him on the streets.
This is the fella that was walking around Dublin for the last 8 months calling people far-right and racist. From the Irish Times he is. Hey, look at them all. Look at them all. Far-right. Look at him. Look at him. There he is. Everybody remember him from a few months ago calling people far-right and racist. Yeah. You're going to write, what are you going to write in the Times tomorrow? Cry for help, was it? Was it cry for help? Fucking God. Look at all of them. Look at them. All of them. All fucking dying for a good story. They've put it back on the Irish people. Look at this gobshite from Virgin Media. Look at him. Pretend he's not listening to me. Look.
I apologize if you're having to turn your head sideways now, but our excitable Irish lad flipped his phone in the middle of the video. Kids, don't do that at home if you're making a video. Keep it portrait or keep it landscape. Don't flip in the middle, no matter what. That messes everybody up. All right, we'll get back to it.
We're not going to be intimidated anymore, all you. Yeah. Look at him. Coming down on his push bike just to get the story. Now, what are you going to say about the Irish people now? Are they far right? Are they racist? Are they racist? Are they? Yeah, you were laughing at them 8 months ago when you were telling you this is going to happen. All yous fucking hacks. Yeah, go on. Look at them. Good luck on your bike, on your fucking bike. Go on.
Do you want to show me the video?
Yeah, on your bike, on your bike. I
video?
don't even listen anymore. You're disgust, yeah.
Do you want to show
You're
me
on
the video?
Twitter. You fucking know, yeah. He's on the scene, and we all seen it. Go on your bike, on your fucking bike. You hack.
On your bike. So even the journalists who were ganging up with the politicians in Ireland, creating this narrative that the real problem in Ireland is the far-right extremists. They've got all this crime, they've got all these problems, they got all this immigration, they got problems with their economy. The people of Ireland are frustrated, and what do? They blame the far right. Again, I ask, does it sound familiar? And so now what did they do this morning when they woke up? Realizing that the tide is turning in Ireland and the people are against the government and the criticism led by Conor McGregor, but also just the young lads like that deciding to confront journalists on the streets by calling them out for passing the blame on far-right extremist voices, so-called, as they say it. Well, what did they do? They decided that they wanted to put forth legislation to silence free speech. That's right. That's right. You can't criticize the government anymore because that's incitement. Here's the Prime Minister.
We're going to make sure that we make those changes to our laws in the next couple of weeks to allow the Gardaí to use that evidence and go through that evidence and identify the people who are involved in these actions. And we are going to get them. In addition to that, I think it's now very obvious to anyone who might have doubted it that our incitement hatred legislation is just not up to date. It's not up to date for the social media age. And we need that legislation through, and we need it through within a matter of weeks. Because it's not just the platforms who have a responsibility here, and they do. There's also the individuals who post messages and images online that stir up hatred and violence. And we need to be able to use laws to go after them.
There you go. Images and messages online that stir up hatred. Sound familiar? They're now trying to make legislation, pass legislation that would make it illegal. I kid you not. If you have a meme saved to your phone, I read the language of this legislation that's proposed right now by this Prime Minister. If you have a meme saved on your phone that the government finds objectionable, even if you didn't post it, if it's saved on your phone, you can go to jail. But cherish that First Amendment we've got as long as we've got it. Look at this senator. This is a senator from the Green Party talking about this proposed legislation. Listen to how terrifying and chilling this Marxist language is.
When you think about it, all law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good.
Ooh.
You will see throughout our Constitution, yes, you have rights, but they are restricted for the common good. Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe, insecure, and cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, then I believe that it is our job as legislators to restrict those freedoms for the common good.
For the common good. Restrict your freedoms for the common good. If your speech makes people uncomfortable, like using the wrong pronouns, perhaps, then that should be illegal as well. For the common good. We restrict your rights for the common good. It's a great speech. She's really wonderful. The speech is even better when it's delivered in the original Russian or Chinese, for that matter. It's really stirring in Mandarin when you actually employ Mao's specific accent about restricting your rights for the common good. Yeah, things are definitely happening in Ireland right now, and there's something very wrong about their current leadership. Leo Varadkar, sorry if I mispronounced that. It's Gaelic, I'm sure. And it's honestly, I was just in Ireland this summer and I was trying to learn Gaelic. I can't pronounce properly. They need to buy a vowel now and again. I'm sorry, guys. It's just rough. But their prime minister, after the release of one of the hostages who is of dual citizenship, Israeli and Irish, he tweeted this out. But by the way, this is a prime minister who actually took Hamas's side in this whole thing, who criticized Israel for their actions in getting slaughtered on October 7th. He put this out on X.com. This is a day of enormous joy and relief for Emily Hand and her family. An innocent child who was lost has now been found and returned, and we breathe a massive sigh of relief. Our prayers have been answered. As you can see from the community note there, Emily Hand was not lost. We knew where Emily Hand was. Makes it sound like Emily Hand wandered off in a field one day and couldn't find her way home. Emily Hand was kidnapped by Hamas terrorists on October 7th. The use of the term lost is inappropriate. Thank you. Community notes. Conor McGregor, the aforementioned, actually was a little bit more in your face, as one would expect from a mixed martial art champion. She was abducted by an evil terrorist organization. What is with you and your government and your paid-for media affiliates constantly downplaying, attempting to repress horrific acts that happen to children? You're a disgrace. The day after a stabbing of children in Ireland, not one paper had it on their front cover. We will not forget. And, well, that's why they're trying to pass legislation to silence voices like that. They don't want to fix the problem. They just want to shut people like Conor McGregor up. Do you think he'll actually run for office? Do you think he actually will enter politics? If he does, he'll win. 100%. Meanwhile, there's this video. It's from a couple of months ago, but it certainly shows you how things have changed in Ireland and why there's some concern there. This is from the beautiful city of Galway on the western coast of Ireland. People were asked a very simple question in Galway. What's the most popular name for new babies born here?
Can you guess what the most popular boy's name was in Galway in 2022?
No idea. Was it Jack?
Tommy?
I'd say for probably Connor.
Let's say David.
I think it was Sean, was it?
Jack. Jack.
Cian?
Cian? Yeah.
Peter? No?
Patrick. I don't know.
All good Irish names, right? These could all be names of some character in an Irish play, or a name that you would imaginarily give to a leprechaun. It doesn't exist. I learned when I went to Ireland. I was shocked to learn that leprechauns don't actually exist. I for the longest time, I thought that was a real thing. Yeah, these are great. What a great name for a leprechaun. Come here, Connor. I'm going to get you and get that pot of gold. Right? This is exactly what you would expect for the most popular boy's name in Galway.
No, maybe that's like the most Irish name. Most popular? I don't know. Dave, maybe?
Not a clue. Not a clue. I'm guessing it was not a traditional Irish name.
Richard.
It was not Richard.
Was it? Oh, fuck. Didn't see that coming. It wasn't Richard.
No, would you like to know what it was?
Yeah.
Right, I'll let you try and answer first.
I'd say Jack.
I'd say Mohammed.
You're correct.
What? Right.
According to the CSO in 2022, the most popular boy's name in Galway was Mohammed.
All right, so now every one of these people, it's going to be revealed to them that the most popular name in Galway was Mohammed. And that's an important element to this story, certainly. And it certainly is a bit of an eye-opener for you if you're watching from home and you're thinking things have changed quite a bit. And if that's Galway, imagine what it's like in larger cities like Dublin or Belfast. But now the most important part of this video, frankly, is the forced tolerance that these Irish people put upon themselves, because the last thing they want to do is look surprised in a negative way. So just because this is what's been beaten into them, drummed into them from their government, from their media, from their pop culture, that if Mohammed is the most popular name for new babies born in Galway, that's a good thing. That's wonderful. There's nothing at all disconcerting about it at all. So watch their reactions when they learn the truth.
Oh, yeah. I read that somewhere, yeah.
Okay. Wasn't expecting that, but okay.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Right. That's interesting.
Do you want to know what it was?
Yeah, actually.
It was Mohammed.
Mohammed. Oh my God, yeah, it was Mohammed. I knew that actually.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Ah, fuck off. It wasn't Mohammed. In Galway. Mohammed.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to know what it was?
Yes, please.
It was Mohammed.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm surprised.
Really?
In Ireland? Oh, that's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, see, these guys didn't give consent for their faces to be seen because they know better. They know what might happen if they don't give the right response.
Crazy.
Not in Ireland.
Oh. That's weird.
That surprised you?
Very interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
Really? That's surprising. Muhammad is the most common. Huh?
There it is. Yeah, something's definitely changing in Ireland, as you can see from that. But you know, the government, they're reacting to the people's concerns. They're reacting to any kind of criticism. Their reaction is to shut you up. And since all of the reaction and all of the voices that you're hearing in opposition to the government is only found on social media because they have a complete and total lock on traditional media, newspapers and electronic media, television or radio. You know, they don't have traditional talk radio in Ireland. Like I said, I was just there this summer and I tried desperately to find what the Irish version of talk radio is. It doesn't exist. The government has a stranglehold on media voices. The only way any kind of opposition to the government can be heard is through social media that you saw develop with Conor McGregor and other Irish citizens voicing their criticisms of the government. So what are they doing to fix things? They're trying to shut you up on social media too. I keep saying sound familiar because this is exactly what the left in America would love to do if they could, and God knows they've tried. All right, while we stay outside the borders of the United States, let's look up northward, shall we? To Canada. It's our favorite guy, our favorite leader of the Conservative Party who's running for Prime Minister against Justin Trudeau. It's Pierre Poilievre, because I just can't pronounce his last name. I'm sorry. I will. I'll tell you what. If this guy wins the election and he's the new Prime Minister, I promise to pronounce his last name properly. But you remember that car that exploded and caught on fire at the Rainbow Bridge, the Niagara Falls crossing between the U.S. and Canada? And the initial reports from the media through leaks from the Canadian government and the Canadian law enforcement was that it was a terror attack. So this guy, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, he echoed that statement, and now he's under criticism for saying that it was a terror attack when it turns out it wasn't a terror attack. Well, here's what happened when a journalist tried to scold him for that.
Thank you.
Okay, next question.
Hi, Paula Loregio with the Canadian Press. Et si vous pouviez répondre dans les deux langues officielles, je l'apprécierais beaucoup. Do you think it was responsible for you to call yesterday's explosion by the customs, by the checkpoint at the Rainbow Bridge terrorism when no US or Canadian officials said that was or authorities said that was the case, and when the New York governor also said there was no evidence to suggest terrorism activity?
Actually, you're wrong. You're a CP? Okay, so CP, by the way, CP, just for everyone's knowledge, did have to make 3 corrections for falsehoods that they put into a single article. I think that might be unprecedented. I'm actually thinking about checking with the Guinness Book of World Records to see if there's ever been a news agency that has had to issue 3 corrections for patent falsehoods that they admit they had been made in one single article, and now you've made yet another falsehood in your question. Where you are wrong is that CTV reported that the government of Canada was presuming that the incident was terrorist. So, yeah, that's what I said in my remarks. You're right. It was a media report. But it's citing media reports and not. Which is what I said in the House. I said there are media reports. And you think that's a responsible thing to go on to make that kind of statement at the time?
All right, so what you're hearing off camera here, and just so I can summarize this, he's being criticized right now by this journalist for saying that it was a terror attack. But of course, he didn't say it was a terror attack. He went to the floor of the House of Parliament there in Ottawa, and he said, there are media reports saying that this was an attempted terror attack. Because there were media reports saying that it was an attempted terror attack. He didn't say it was an attempted terror attack. He was quoting the media and specifically said, media reports say that it's a terror attack. And now he's being asked, do you think it was irresponsible to say that there were media reports that it was a terror attack? In other words, do you think it was she doesn't get the irony of her own question. Do you think it was irresponsible to cite us as a legitimate source? That's what he's being asked. And, well, he's going to do his thing.
What kind of statement? Calling something terrorism. I didn't. I said there were media reports. No, there's no distinction. What I said, and I was right, was that there were media reports of a terror-related event. By your admission, there were media reports of a terror-related event. And that media report, according to CTV, unless you're questioning their integrity now, came from security officials in the Trudeau government. So do you think the CTV was irresponsible in putting out that tweet?
Do you think it was responsible?
Sorry, I'm asking, and I have already answered that. Do you think CTV was irresponsible to put that tweet out? Well, you just did comment. Okay. So, I just hope you're not going to print something that you have to apologize for again. La presse.
That's beautiful. That really is beautiful. We love him, and I do promise to pronounce his name properly should he win the election. But until then, I'm not going to learn French just for that. Let's be clear. The whole premise of her question was you shouldn't cite us because we're not a legitimate source, number one. But number two, I'd love to play for you the clip of Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, being challenged by a journalist saying, why did members of your government, through an anonymous leak, tell us that this was a suspected terror attack? Do you think that was irresponsible, Prime Minister Trudeau? Right? I mean, really, what's worse here? That Trudeau's government, through an anonymous leak, fed bad information about a terror attack to a journalist? Or that this guy, a member of parliament, repeated that the media is saying what they're saying? I mean, I would think the bigger problem is the Trudeau government lying to the media, but, that's just me talking. Ooh, speaking of lying in the media, remember Newsweek? Apparently Newsweek is still a thing. I had no idea. I thought they went bankrupt. Newsweek published an article. You can see it here. The headline, Trump greeted by loud boos at South Carolina football game. And President Trump went to the South Carolina Clemson football game. This is kind of a ballsy move, frankly, because, when you're a politician and you go to a big gathering, tens of thousands, how many were at that game? Probably 70,000 at this game. It's the big one, Clemson, South Carolina, the Tigers and the Gamecocks. And by the way, it's Nikki Haley's home state, right? The former governor of South Carolina who's running for president gets him. It's going to be a mixed bag. You never know what kind of reaction you're going to get. So the fact that he went was pretty bold, right? And when he gets to the game, I want you to see the video that Newsweek cited to justify saying this headline here, Donald Trump greeted by loud boos at South Carolina football game. This is outside the arena when he arrives to go into the football stadium. There's probably, 20 people there. And here's the video. All right, now a couple of things about this. There are some boos, for sure. It's outside the stadium, as I mentioned. He just drove up. We have no idea how many people are there. We also don't necessarily know what they're booing at because who knows? Because of security, they could be being kept from going into the stadium right now, and they're booing that, right? Here, let me show you when he gets out of the car. Oh, wait, he already got out of the car, right? Oh, no, they're driving him forward here. All right, so that's the video Newsweek uses to cite the fact that there were boos. Again, people outside the stadium. And for all we know, I mean, we could see because of the lighting where they turned the light on and there was Trump's face, right? For all we know, they're booing the car. We don't know if they're booing Trump per se. The reason I say that is because, again, focus on what the headline is here. The headline, Donald Trump greeted by loud boos at South Carolina football game. Now, I'm going to show you a succession of videos here. The first one is when he drives in, gets out of his car, and he's in the tunnel about to go into the game. I mean, there may be a boo or two in here, but I don't hear them. I mean, there's no way you can write a headline about boos with this crowd reaction. Look at everybody trying to get to him, people trying to shake his hand or high five him, and you hear cheers, you hear screams. All right, they also went on to chant USA, USA, USA. All right, let's switch to another angle. This is when he actually emerges from the tunnel and he goes onto the field. Now, this is the most dangerous moment. This is when you've got 80,000, I'm told, were at this game, Clemson, South Carolina. And you know, I mean, these are college students, right? I mean, we know even a college in South Carolina is going to be full of lefties and Marxists and nutbags, right? So here he is emerging from the tunnel, coming out onto the field. Let's listen for those boos that Newsweek told us about. He's out there. He's up on the big screen. You can hear people chanting USA, USA. You know what? It just occurred to me. There may be another reason why people were in a lousy mood outside the stadium. And we should check on this if you could. I don't know how easy this is, Kevin, for you to check on. But I bet they all had to go through Secret Service. I bet they all had to go through special security protocols for the game, which probably delayed their entry to the game. Because it just occurred to me while he was standing on the field and Secret Service is looking, it's like, you know, I bet that there was extra security protocols and that probably put him in a bad mood while the people were late and trying to get to the game as Trump arrived. But let's take another angle, because that's the angle on the field, right? And the microphone on the phone probably just picked up all the cheers from the people in the rich seats, right? Oh, sure, all the rich 1%er Republicans were cheering for him. But what about up in the cheap seats? What about in the back row? All right, let's take a look. You hear the USA chant? You hear the cheers? You hear, I mean, you may be able to find a boo or two in there, but can I just remind you, this is the headline. Donald Trump greeted by loud boos at South Carolina football game. The actual moment he goes out on the field, from upstairs in like the cheap seats of the stadium, 80,000 strong. You know, one thing that we've learned today is whether it's Ireland or Canada or the United States, sports reporters at a football game, across the board, the media sucks. 100% sucks. They'll lie to you. They'll lie to you for their own purposes. By the way, I've got one more angle for you, and I want to show this one to you because I've experienced this myself. I went to the Army-Navy game in 2019 when Donald Trump was... Actually, I did go in 2019. I also went in 2018. So this was just a year after the election. Army-Navy game in Philadelphia. Trump comes out as commander-in-chief onto the field. And listen, it's a pro-military stadium, obviously, because it's all either veterans or parents of kids who are in the military and at the service academies at West Point or Naval Academy. But still, I mean, these are people from all across the country who attend the Army-Navy game. And anytime a president takes that field, it's a risk. Let me tell you something. I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think President Biden has been to an Army-Navy game yet. I don't think he has, at least not the ones that I've been to. Because you never know what kind of reaction you're going to get. With the Army-Navy game that I went to when Donald Trump was there and took the field, it was mayhem. It was nothing but love and cheers for President Trump. Now, that's not to say that there aren't people out there who don't like Donald Trump. There are people who feel very passionately about Donald Trump. But I don't think that the people who go to the Army-Navy game or the Clemson, South Carolina game, for as many people who have very negative feelings about Donald Trump, there are just as many people who have incredibly strong, positive feelings about Donald Trump. Yes, people hate him, but there are a lot of people who love him. A lot. And this scene from inside his box is what I witnessed at the Army-Navy game, not just the cheers on the field, but when he went up to his box and at the Army-Navy game, he switches sides at halftime because the commander-in-chief can't take sides in Army-Navy. One half he sits on the Army side, one half he sits on the Navy side. And when he was up in his box watching the game, everybody in front of that box, they didn't even watch the game. They wanted to watch Trump. I mean, look at that. This is a major rivalry game between Clemson and South Carolina, and everyone's turned away from the field and waving and cheering on Trump. And the media's headline is Trump greeted by loud boos. As Andrew Breitbart used to say, hey, members of the media, people don't hate you because you're biased. I mean, they do hate you, and you are biased. But they don't hate you because you're biased. They hate you because you suck. And you do. That's why we're happy we have social media and alternative media like Town Hall, but I don't want to do too much of a plug here. Actually, I will. You should join and become a VIP member of Town Hall. We've got a great sale going on, the best sale that we've ever had. Just go to Town Hall and you'll see the deal. In fact, I think our deal is it's for it's 60% off now. Do they have to use a special code, Kevin?
Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday. Do it now. Get over to townhall.com and become a VIP member now because we don't suck. All right, Elon Musk visited Israel. He took a tour of the scene of the October 7th attacks. And most of the scenes that you'll see on the mainstream media today are really just sort of B-roll of him surveying the area. He's there shoulder to shoulder with Benjamin Netanyahu. But he did give a bit of an interview here, and I want you to see. This is from I Am Meme Zero. Thank you for this really well-done video that shows exactly what he had to say after seeing the carnage.
It was jarring to see the scene of the massacre, or one of the scenes of the massacres, as well as to see the short film afterwards that showed more of innocent people getting killed. It was troubling in that movie, especially to see the joy experienced by the people that were killing innocent civilians, including kids and babies and defenseless people, essentially. So, it's one thing if civilians die accidentally, but if it's another thing to revel in the joy of killing civilians. That's not, that's frankly, that's evil. It was
that's evil. Yeah, there's no other way to put it. And honestly, it shouldn't take having to go there and see the video that has been put together for members of the media and other dignitaries to see that the Hamas terrorists made themselves. They had their GoPro cameras on. They made these videos because they were proud of what they did. You shouldn't have to go through that to understand the reality that happened here in these attacks. But sadly, we can't get something definitive like that from our own Secretary of State. We can't hear something that definitive from our own President of the United States, who know full well exactly what happened there and who the evil ones are. Instead, they continue to equivocate and try to play both sides here. Oh, well, there's some fault to God. No, there isn't fault to go around on both sides of this. Elon Musk is getting some criticism because he's being accused of taking sides in this. He's being accused of going over to Israel to just sort of burnish his image because he's under fire right now, because advertisers are pulling out, because he said some things that the Media Matters for America people are mischaracterizing as anti-Semitic. We've already blown away Media Matters on our Wednesday show. Go ahead and check out that video if you haven't already. One must wonder, is Elon Musk just going over there because he's worried about losing advertising revenue? Is he over there just because he's trying to save his reputation? Well, I want to show you this video from earlier this year. He was asked on CNBC specifically about the risk that he might run by opening up X.com, Twitter at the time, and making it more open to contrary voices from the mainstream media or from the political left, that he might lose advertising revenue. He's asked that, and I want you to watch this, because not just his reply, but the very thoughtful and dramatic pause he takes here before he answers the stupid question tells you everything I think we need to know about Elon Musk and where he is right now when it comes to free speech.
I don't want to at all, but what I'm trying, even came up though in the annual meeting. I mean, you know, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position because, and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you got to stop, man. Or, you know, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
You know, I'm reminded of there's a scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay.
That, my friends, is what we mean when we say he has FU money. Now, listen, it's all great for the richest man in the world, literally, to be able to have that position and to purchase a social media platform so he can express himself over and above the heads of traditional media. And he can do that because he's the richest man in the world. But still, there's something about that that still takes courage in this day and age. And there's something admirable about it, I think. And to sort of put it in focus, I want you to see something that was incredibly disturbing. This is from a TikTok account that showed a video of what happened in a Queens high school when it was discovered that one of the teachers, a Jewish teacher, attended a pro-Israel rally.
Yeah, and if my sister's fading a bitch, I'ma line it up with whoever came with the bitch. Line it up, 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 line it up. Bitch, knock it off. You been got stripped. Took the bitch phone and her bucket got flipped. Her mother was pulling up, so they all pulled off. And don't spare up with me, cause you know I'm letting off. Yeah, I ain't turning shit down in here. Any bitch can run it like it's Chris Brown in here. Legs crossed, looking real bust down in here.
Yeah, that teacher had to hide in her own office because it was a riot in the school. Where do they get all those Palestinian flags? Who's handing them out in these schools? A riot in the school because the teacher, a Jewish teacher, went to a pro-Israel rally. Although, by the way, I mean, there are plenty of people who go to pro-Israel rallies who aren't Jewish, but just because they have a functioning moral compass. You see what Elon Musk is able to do by having all the money in the world and not caring what other people say. But then when you're not Elon Musk and you're just a school teacher, this is what you have to face. That was mayhem. And her crime was going to a pro-Israel rally. But the good news is the president of her union, Randy Weingarten, who represents teachers, right, at the American Federation for Teachers, Randy Weingarten is constantly getting involved in political discussions, but her primary job is to represent teachers and protect teachers. So let's just take a quick look at her timeline over there on X. She's always tweeting stuff out, right? I'm sure she had something to say in defense of the teacher. Here we go. Oh, look, she's got a Ukrainian flag there. Where's the flag for Israel, Randy Weingarten? Oh, that's weird, isn't it? Her first tweet that she has pinned right now is about extremists who dare to challenge whether public schools are working. Let's move on that, though. Let's see. Something retweeted from Robert Reich. We've got a tweet of President Biden announcing a pause for humanitarian aid. Okay. We've got a tweet about the economy helping Joe Biden out. We've got an ad. We've got a tweet against Ron DeSantis. We've got George Takei. We've got something about Mitt Romney. We've got extending the ceasefire. We've got, she retweeted something. There you go. She retweeted something that someone else said about the teacher in Queens. That's something. Oh, and now she's back promoting Joe Biden and EJ Dionne. And, 3 Palestinian students who were shot in Vermont. And, well, I don't see anything else about the teacher. Nothing that she actually wrote. Nothing that she actually said. She retweeted something. What more do you want? Come on. She's a busy woman. She's got things to do. Oh, one other thing. Speaking of Joe Biden, that little victory lap he gave when the hostages were released, a small handful of hostages that didn't include an American citizen on Saturday. Well, he did do a hastily thrown together press conference, and he had this to say about his thoughts on the terror attacks in Israel.
I'm hearing a lot, but I'm not going to speak to it right now. There's an overwhelming desire on the part of the region to, let me back up. I cannot prove what I'm about to say.
I cannot prove what I'm about to say, he says. Now, I'm very excited that all the media fact checkers with their super serious fact checking that we had during the Trump presidency, I'm sure that they're all poised and ready to put out a fact check about something that the president prefaces with, I can't prove what I'm about to say. But let's go with it. Let's find out what he's going to say.
But I believe one of the reasons why Hamas struck when they did was they knew that I was working very closely with the Saudis and others in the region to bring peace to the region by having recognition of Israel and Israel's right to exist. You may recall when we did the G20 about a little while ago, I was able to get a resolution, a statement passed through there saying we're going to build a railroad from Riyadh all the way through the Middle East into Saudi Arabia, Israel, et cetera, and all the way up to Europe. Not the railroad, but it would be an underground pipeline and then railroad. The whole idea is there's overwhelming interest, and I think most Arab nations know it, in coordinating with one another to change the dynamic in their region for longer-term peace. And that is what I'm going to continue to work on. Thank you all very, very much. I appreciate it.
Well, we can't prove what he just said, but according to Joe Biden, the reason the October 7th terror attacks happened is because he wanted to build a choo-choo train across the Middle East. And Hamas apparently was so upset that Saudi Arabia might recognize Israel's right to exist, they decided to slaughter over 1,000 innocent people and take hundreds hostage, rape people, because that's the reaction to a pending peace agreement. Correct me if I'm wrong, and sometimes I am. During the Trump administration, didn't we have a thing called the Abraham Accords? And wasn't the Trump administration, through the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo and Jared Kushner, weren't they involved in high-level negotiations with multiple Arab nations? And didn't they actually sign peace accords with those Arab nations who recognized Israel's right to exist and normalized all of their relations with them? Do you remember the horrific, bloody terrorist massacre that happened after those peace agreements were made? So let me get this straight. Joe Biden becomes president and gives millions of dollars to Iran, the single largest state subsidy for terrorist activity around the world, and opens up millions of dollars of so-called humanitarian aid to the Gazans, to Hamas, that had been shut off during the Trump administration. He gives them millions and millions and millions of dollars, and that has nothing to do with the terror attacks. But Biden's involved in a super secret deal to create a choo-choo train across the Middle East to Riyadh, and that's what inspired Hamas to slaughter innocent people. Okay, well, listen, we can't prove it one way or the other, so why not just throw it out there? That's your president. He's a strong leader, isn't he? Boy, oh boy, November 2024 can't come fast enough. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow around the same time at the same place. Thanks for watching. In the meantime, I'm Larry O'Connor. Call me Larry.